in the realm of manifestation. His teachings, rooted in mystical interpretations of biblical concepts, resonated with seekers of truth around the world. Neville's journey led him to explore the transformative power of assumption, and his wisdom continues to echo through the corridors of time. Neville fervently believed in the creative power of the imagination. He often stated, "Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled," emphasizing that your imaginative capacity shapes your experiences. Central to Neville's teachings was the concept of assumption, the idea that assuming the feeling of already having our desires fulfilled aligns us with the energy needed for manifestation. Ask yourself, what would it feel like if I already had that money, that job, that relationship, that dream vacation? How would I feel if I was truly at peace? Find that feeling and that reality. Imagine it, hold on to it, and act consciously in line with that reality. Assume that reality and watch as rest falls right into place. Neville also encouraged living in the end result of our desires. By mentally residing in the state of having already achieved our goals, we alter our consciousness and attract corresponding experiences. Consequently, you have to slowly learn to script your own reality. Neville advocated for the use of inner conversations and mental scripting. By consciously directing our thoughts and inner dialogues, we script the story of our lives and influence our external reality. As crazy as it might sound, he also believed in the power of revising past events through imagination. By reimagining and revising past experiences, we alter their impact on our present and future. Being one of the most important of his teachings, everything we have just discussed is still centered by the law of assumption. As a kid, you first begin life seeing it through some very skewed but beautiful lens. You're full of wonder, curiosity, and wild imagination. Why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? Can I touch a unicorn? All of these, the rambling of a kid's unbridled imaginations, probably make up some of our first and last contacts with true magic and wonder. However, the older we got, the less we got to see and touch this magic. Soon Santa became some ridiculous, whimsical character. The color of the sky and grass no longer fascinated you, and the question why became farther than an afterthought. Somewhere along the line, we forgot how to reimagine the world in our own way. We forgot to assume that our lives could be exactly as we wanted it to. Now that you've gained some insight from Neville Goddard's wisdom, you now know in essence what his teaching centered on. Let's dive into the very core of this exploration, the law of assumption. What is it exactly? At its root, the law of assumption is the recognition that our assumptions, beliefs, and feelings mold our reality. Neville Goddard urged us to transcend the limits of wishful thinking and fully embody the assumption that our desires are not only possible, but are already realized. Imagine planting a seed in fertile soil. The assumption is the soil, nurturing the seedling of your desire until it blooms into your lived experience. It's about living from the end result, not merely wishing for it. In simple words, it's a concept that says you must assume the feeling or reality you desire. Somehow, some way, this reality will find its way to you. Now, this might sound a whole lot like wishful thinking, but walk with me and find out the difference. Wishful thinking often involves passive daydreaming and desiring without a clear intention or conscious engagement. It's like throwing a coin into a fountain and hoping for a miracle without actively participating in the creation process. On the other hand, the law of assumption is an intentional, conscious act. It's about assuming a state of being and embodying the emotions associated with the desired outcome. It's not passive. It's an active engagement with the creative forces of the universe. Wishful thinking might leave you yearning for change. One of the biggest challenges people face with implementing these practices is properly visualizing their assumption. Goddard often stressed the effectiveness of experiencing visualizations from a first-person viewpoint. When you visualize, see the world through your own eyes, immersing yourself in the details and emotions of the assumed reality. Instead of focusing on the process, see yourself living the life you desire. Whether it's financial abundance, a fulfilling relationship, or career success, visualize the end scene vividly. Engage your senses during visualization. Feel the textures, hear the sounds, and experience the emotions associated with your desired reality. Neville emphasized the importance of making your visualizations as sensory-rich as possible. Number 4 is first-person perspective. When visualizing, adopt a first-person perspective. See the world through your own eyes in the scenes you imagine. This personalizes the experience and makes it more immersive. Number 5 is feeling is the secret. Focus on the emotional component of your assumptions. Feel the emotions associated with the fulfillment of your desires. The more genuine and intense the emotions, the more effective the assumption. Feeling is the vibrational language that communicates with the universe. Goddard emphasized that it's not just about thinking of your desire, it's about feeling as if your desire has already been fulfilled. This might be hard for many to grasp, not because it is difficult, but simply because it seems a little inadequate, underwhelming, if you will. If you desire financial abundance, feel the joy and security that financial freedom brings. If you seek love, immerse yourself in the warmth and fulfillment of being loved. Your feelings are the magnetic pull that draws your assumptions into your lived reality. Feeling is not merely a side effect of assumption, it's the secret ingredient that catalyzes the manifestation process. Number 6 is to create a mental script. Develop a mental script or story that narrates your life as you wish it to be. Picture each scene with clarity and script the dialogue and events as if they are happening in the present moment. Number 7 is to live from the end. Embrace the concept of living from the end. Act as if your desires have already been fulfilled. Make choices and decisions based on the assumption that your desired reality is your current reality. Number 8 is consistency and repetition. Consistency is crucial. Repeat your affirmations and engage in visualizations regularly. Consistent reinforcement strengthens the neural pathways associated with your assumptions. Consistent assumption is the heartbeat of the law of assumption. It's not a fleeting thought or a momentary belief. It's a sustained and unwavering commitment to the assumption that your desires are on their way to manifestation. God had emphasized that persistence is not about desperation or anxious waiting. It's about confidently and persistently assuming the feeling of the wish being fulfilled, even in the face of external circumstances that might suggest otherwise. Number 9 is positive self-talk. Monitor your internal dialogue. Sometimes that little voice in your head could be getting in your way. Maybe it says you can't do certain things or be certain things. Maybe it says you're not good enough or worthy enough. Whatever the case may be, you must strive to replace negative or doubtful thoughts with positive affirmations that support your conscious assumptions. Positive self-talk reinforces your desired beliefs. Number 10 is detachment from the means. Let go of attachment to specific ways or means through which your desires will manifest. Trust the universe to bring about the fulfillment of your assumptions in ways that may surpass your current understanding. God had emphasized the importance of detaching from the how of manifestation. This principle involves trusting that the universe will orchestrate the means to fulfill your assumptions, often in ways beyond your. Goddard emphasized that consciousness is the key player in the law of assumption. The more aware and intentional your assumptions, the more profound the impact on your reality. By aligning your emotions with the assumed reality, you create a vibrational match that attracts your desires. Consistent and persistent assumption is the key to unlocking the manifestation process. Doubts may arise, but persistence in assumption acts as a steady beacon, guiding one through challenges. Patience is the companion of persistence. Manifestation doesn't always adhere to our expected timelines. Encourage a realistic view of the manifestation journey, understanding that the universe operates on its own divine timing. The law of assumption is not about instant gratification, it's about trust and unwavering belief. Ultimately, this law and its principles have the power to change your life if you so choose. What is it that you desire, and how can you assume that reality to facilitate it actually happening? I hope you have some answers after watching this video. If you enjoyed watching and would love to learn more, then make sure to like the video, share it, and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.
Picture this: you walk into a newsstand and see yesterday's newspaper with headlines about events that have already happened, problems that have already been solved, and stories that are no longer relevant. You wouldn't base your decisions for today on yesterday's news, would you? Yet this is exactly what most people do with their perception of reality every single day. Tonight I want to reveal to you something so revolutionary that it will completely transform how you relate to everything you call real. I want to show you that what you perceive as your current reality, your bank account, your relationships, your health, your circumstances, is nothing more than yesterday's newspaper. It's old news. It's the outdated report of assumptions you held in the past, now crystallized into physical form. Most people are living their lives reading yesterday's newspaper and calling it today's reality. They're making decisions based on old news, feeling limited by outdated information, and missing the fact that today's newspaper, today's reality, is being written right now by their current assumptions, their present consciousness, their immediate inner conversation. What if I told you that every circumstance you see around you is already outdated the moment you observe it? What if I told you that by the time something appears in your physical world, it's already old news from the dimension of consciousness where all creation actually takes place? Last week, a businessman came to my office in complete despair. He said, "Neville, my company is failing. The numbers don't lie. The bank statements show I'm nearly bankrupt. The market research proves there's no demand for my product. These are facts. This is reality. How can I possibly turn this around?" I looked at this defeated man and I said, "My friend, you're reading yesterday's newspaper and calling it today's reality. Those bank statements are reports of your old assumptions about money. That market research reflects your past beliefs about your product's value. Those numbers are telling you what was true when you believed it was true. But they have nothing to do with what can be true right now." He stared at me in confusion. "But Neville, these are current financial statements. These numbers are from this month." "Yes," I replied. "But they're reporting on the effects of assumptions you made months or even years ago. Physical reality is always several steps behind consciousness. By the time something appears in your physical world, it's already old news from the realm of mind where it was created. While you're reading last month's financial statement, this month's financial reality is being created by what you assume to be true right now." I taught this man to stop reading yesterday's newspaper and start writing today's headlines. Instead of focusing on current financial statements, he began to feel wealthy right now. Instead of accepting market research as permanent truth, he began to assume there was unlimited demand for his value. Instead of reacting to old news, he began creating new news through fresh assumptions. Within 6 months, his business had completely turned around. New clients appeared as if from nowhere. Market conditions shifted in his favor. Financial opportunities opened that he had never imagined possible. Had he changed his reality? No. He had stopped accepting old reality as current truth and had begun creating new reality through present consciousness. You see, what we call reality is always historical. It's always showing us what we used to believe, what we used to assume, what we used to feel about ourselves and our possibilities. The person who looks at their empty bank account and says, "I'm poor," is reading old news about their former consciousness of lack. The person who looks at their sick body and says, "I'm ill," is reading old news about their previous assumptions of limitation. But here's the revolutionary truth. While you're reading old news, new news is being created every moment by your current state of consciousness. Every assumption you make right now is writing tomorrow's headlines. Every feeling you generate in this moment is creating next week's front page story. Every inner conversation you have today is drafting next month's reality report. Most people have this backwards. They look at their current circumstances and use them to determine what's possible for their future. They read yesterday's newspaper and assume it tells them what today's paper will say. They let old news dictate new possibilities. But consciousness doesn't work that way. Consciousness is always creating fresh, always writing new stories, always composing tomorrow's reality based on today's assumptions. The question is, while you're reacting to old news, what new news are you unconsciously creating? Let me tell you about a woman who understood this principle so deeply that she literally rewrote the headlines of her life. She came to me with a medical diagnosis that doctors called terminal. The test results were clear. The prognosis was definitive. The medical consensus was unanimous. She had 6 months to live. "Neville," she said, "I understand what you teach about consciousness, but how can I ignore such concrete evidence? The medical tests don't lie. The doctors have decades of experience. This is scientific fact, not opinion." I said to her, "My dear, you're reading yesterday's newspaper and calling it today's reality. Those test results are reports of your old assumptions about your body. That diagnosis reflects your past beliefs about health and illness. That prognosis is telling you what was true when you believed limitation was true, but it has nothing to do with what can be true right now." "But these are current medical tests," she protested. "Yes," I replied, "but they're reporting on the effects of assumptions you've held about your body for years, perhaps decades. Your body is always reflecting your habitual consciousness. But it takes time for consciousness to express as form. While those tests are showing you old news about your former relationship with your body, new news is being created right now by your present relationship with perfect health." This woman made a radical decision. She decided to stop reading yesterday's medical newspaper and start writing today's health headlines. Instead of accepting the diagnosis as permanent truth, she began to assume perfect health as present reality. Instead of focusing on test results that reflected old consciousness, she began to feel healthy right now. Instead of preparing for the death that old news predicted, she began to live from the life that new consciousness was creating. She stopped checking her symptoms every day because she realized that symptoms are just yesterday's news about her former state of consciousness. She stopped researching her disease because she understood that research was based on old assumptions about limitation. She stopped asking doctors for updates because she knew they were just reading from yesterday's newspaper. Instead, she began each day by feeling perfectly healthy. She moved through her daily activities with the energy and confidence of someone in perfect health. She made plans for the future based on a long, healthy life. She wrote new health headlines with every assumption of vitality she made. 1 year later, when she returned for medical tests, the doctors found no trace of disease. They called it a miracle, a spontaneous remission, an unexplained healing. But she knew exactly what had happened. She had stopped accepting old news as current truth and had written new news through transformed consciousness. This is what I want you to understand. Reality is always old news. By the time you can see it, touch it, measure it, or verify it, it's already reporting on assumptions that are no longer current. While you're reading old news, new news is being created by your present moment consciousness. Think about this deeply. Your current bank balance is old news about your former consciousness of money. Your present relationships are old news about your past beliefs about love and connection. Your existing health condition is old news about your previous assumptions about your body. Your current job situation is old news about your former beliefs about your value and capabilities. But here's the liberating truth. While you're reading old news, you have the power to write new ones. While you're observing the effects of old assumptions, you can be making new assumptions that will create new effects. While you're dealing with yesterday's reality, you can be creating tomorrow's reality. Most people become addicted to reading old news. They check their bank account daily, as if yesterday's balance determines today's possibilities. They monitor their symptoms constantly, as if this morning's discomfort predicts this afternoon's health. They analyze their relationship problems endlessly, as if past conflicts determine future harmony. But this is like trying to drive forward while only looking in the rearview mirror. You're so focused on where you've been that you can't see where you're going. You're so fixated on your old reality that you miss the fact that your new one is being created every moment. Let me share with you the story of a young woman who broke this addiction to old news and discovered her power to create new headlines. She had been unemployed for over a year despite sending out hundreds of resumes and going on dozens of interviews. The rejection letters were piling up, her savings were depleted, and everyone was telling her to lower her expectations. Neville, she said, I have to face reality. The job market is terrible. My resume isn't impressive enough. I'm overqualified for some positions and underqualified for others. These are facts I can't ignore. I said to her, you're reading yesterday's newspaper, my dear, and calling it today's reality. Those rejection letters are reports of your old assumptions about your worth. That job market analysis reflects your past beliefs about limitation and competition. That resume anxiety is telling you what was true when you believed you weren't good enough. But it has nothing to do with what can be true right now. But these are current rejection letters, she said. This unemployment has been going on for a year. Yes, I replied. But they're reporting on the effects of assumptions you've been making about yourself and your value. The job market is always reflecting collective consciousness, but your individual experience of that market is created by your personal consciousness. While those rejection letters are showing you old news about your former sense of worth, new news is being created right now by your present sense of value. I taught this woman to stop reading the unemployment section of yesterday's newspaper and start writing the success stories for today's edition. Instead of checking job boards to see what was available, she began to feel employed in her ideal position right now. Instead of analyzing rejection letters for clues about her inadequacies, she began to assume she was exactly what employers were seeking. Instead of preparing for more interviews hoping to convince someone of her worth, she began to feel valuable and desired as a professional. She stopped reading about the competitive job market and started creating new assumptions about unlimited opportunities. She stopped focusing on her resume as a historical document of past limitations and started feeling it as a current reflection of present value. She stopped checking her email for responses to old applications and started assuming perfect opportunities were seeking her out. Within 3 weeks, she received a call about a position that hadn't even been advertised. The company had heard about her through a connection she didn't even know she had. The job was exactly what she had been feeling herself doing, with a salary higher than she had dared to hope for. They offered it to her on the spot. Had the job market suddenly changed? Had her resume magically improved? Had her qualifications mysteriously increased? No. She had stopped reading old news about limitation and had started creating new news about unlimited opportunity. This is the power of recognizing that reality is old news. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start being a creator of it. You stop reacting to effects and start creating causes. You stop reading yesterday's newspaper and start writing tomorrow's headlines. But let me be very clear about something important. I'm not suggesting that you ignore practical responsibilities or deny obvious facts. I'm suggesting that you understand what these facts actually represent. They represent old news, not current possibilities. They show you what was true, not what must continue to be true. You still pay your bills, but you don't let your bank balance determine your sense of abundance. You still address health concerns, but you don't let symptoms determine your sense of vitality. You still handle relationship issues, but you don't let past conflicts determine your capacity for love. You deal with old news practically, while creating new ones consciously. You handle yesterday's effects responsibly while generating today's causes deliberately. You manage current circumstances, efficiently while creating future circumstances intentionally. The secret is learning to live in two dimensions simultaneously. The dimension of effects where you handle old news, and the dimension of causes where you create new ones. Most people live only in the dimension of effects, constantly reacting to old news. But when you discover the dimension of causes, you realize you're always writing tomorrow's headlines. I remember a man who had been struggling with debt for years. Every month brought new bills, new financial pressures, new evidence of his limitation. He was completely addicted to reading yesterday's financial newspaper, checking his credit score, analyzing his expenses, calculating his shortfalls. I said to him, "You're reading old news about money and using it to write today's financial headlines. Those bills are reports of your former consciousness of lack. That debt reflects your past assumptions about limitation. Those financial pressures are telling you what was true when you believed in scarcity. But they have nothing to do with what can be true right now." He learned to handle his old reality, paying bills, managing expenses, while creating new assumptions, feeling abundant, assuming prosperity. Instead of letting yesterday's financial newspaper determine today's money consciousness, he began to write today's abundance headlines, while responsibly managing yesterday's debt effects. The transformation was remarkable. Unexpected income appeared. Better opportunities opened. Financial solutions emerged that he had never considered. The old news of debt began to be replaced by new news of prosperity, not through magical thinking, but through the practical application of conscious creation, while handling current responsibilities. This is what it means to understand that reality is old news. You're simultaneously practical about effects and powerful about causes. You're responsible with what is, while creative about what can be. You read yesterday's newspaper when necessary while writing today's headlines continuously. But perhaps the most profound application of this understanding is in your relationship with yourself. Most people are addicted to reading old news about their identity. They look at their past failures and assume they predict future possibilities. They examine their current limitations and use them to determine what they're capable of becoming. "I've always been shy," they say, reading old news about their former social consciousness. "I'm not good with money," they declare, reporting on their historical financial assumptions. "I never finish what I start," they conclude, analyzing their past patterns of behavior. But all of this is old news, my friends. Your past shyness is old news about your former social consciousness. Your money struggles are old news about your previous financial assumptions. Your incomplete projects are old news about your old beliefs about your capabilities. While you're reading old news about who you used to be, new news about who you are becoming is being created by your present moment consciousness. Every time you assume a new identity, you're writing a new headline about yourself. Every time you feel differently about your capabilities, you're creating tomorrow's news about your achievements. The person you think you are is old news. The person you're becoming through your current assumptions is today's headline. The person you'll be tomorrow is determined by the consciousness you maintain today. So tonight, I want you to make a revolutionary decision. I want you to stop being addicted to reading yesterday's newspaper. Stop checking old news as if it determines current possibilities. Stop using past effects to predict future outcomes. Start recognizing that everything you call reality is historical. Start understanding that while you're observing old news, new news is being created. Start realizing that you're always writing tomorrow's headlines with today's assumptions. Your current circumstances are not your current possibilities. Your present conditions are not your permanent truth. Your existing reality is not your eternal destiny. They're all just old news, reporting on consciousness that is no longer current. But here's the beautiful truth. You're always writing new news. Every moment offers you the opportunity to create fresh headlines. Every assumption you make is drafting tomorrow's reality report. Every feeling you generate is composing next week's circumstance story. Stop reading yesterday's newspaper. Start writing today's headlines. Reality is old news, but consciousness is always creating tomorrow's front page story. The pen is in your hand. What headlines will you write? What stories will you create? What news will you generate about your health, your wealth, your relationships, your possibilities? Remember, while everyone else is reading old news and calling it current reality, you have the power to write new news and create fresh reality. While others are trapped by yesterday's headlines, you can be liberated by today's conscious creation. Reality is old news. Consciousness is today's headline. You are the editor, the writer, and the publisher of your own life story. What story will you tell? What news will you create? What reality will you write into existence? The newsstand of tomorrow is waiting for today's headlines. Make them extraordinary. Thank you for listening. This is Best of Lectures. I'll see you in the next video. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to speak to you about something that has confounded humanity for centuries, something that has been deliberately mystified and made complex when it is, in truth, beautifully simple. I want to speak to you about money. Not as a piece of paper, not as numbers in an account, but as what it truly is. Crystallized imagination, solidified consciousness, the very substance of your own wonderful human imagination made manifest in the world of Caesar. You see, my friends, most of you have been hypnotized into believing that money is separate from you. You've been taught to chase it, to struggle for it, to worship it, to fear its absence. But tonight I'm here to wake you from this collective dream and show you something revolutionary. You don't attract money, you are money. You don't get abundance, you are abundance. The very energy that creates galaxies, that spins atoms, that beats your heart, is the same energy that appears to you as money. The man who taught me these truths, my old friend Abdullah, once said to me when I complained about my financial circumstances, "Neville, you are the operant power. Stop looking at your bank account to determine your wealth. Your wealth is determined in consciousness, and your bank account merely reflects what you have accepted as true about yourself." I want you to understand this clearly. Every dollar that has ever come to you came first as an assumption in your consciousness. Every financial breakthrough you've experienced began as a mental acceptance of prosperity. Every penny you've lost started as an unconscious acceptance of lack. The outer world of money is nothing but the shadow cast by your inner convictions about yourself. Now you may ask, "Neville, how can I become the energy of money when my circumstances scream poverty? How can I feel abundant when my bills are unpaid?" And I say to you, this is precisely when the work must be done. Anyone can feel abundant when their account overflows. But can you feel the thrill of wealth when your wallet is empty? Can you carry yourself with the confidence of a millionaire when the world tells you you're broke? This is the test of a true student of the law. Let me tell you about the nature of money from the mystical perspective. In the ancient teachings, money represents the element of earth, the densest, most material expression of spirit. It is spirit slowed down to such a degree that it appears solid, permanent, scarce. But in truth, it is as fluid as water, as changeable as thought, as abundant as air. The mystics knew that to master money, one must first master the art of mental transformation. I once had a student, a man named Robert, who came to me completely broken financially. His business had failed, his home was in foreclosure, and his family had lost faith in him. He said to me, "Neville, I've tried everything. I've worked 18-hour days. I've taken every opportunity, but money seems to slip through my fingers like sand." I said to him, "Robert, you've been working in the world of effect, trying to change circumstances by manipulating circumstances. But money is not created in the world of effect. It's created in the world of cause, which is consciousness itself." I taught him what I'm teaching you tonight, that he must become money in consciousness before money could become his, in fact. For 3 months, Robert faithfully practiced what I call the golden thread technique. Every night before sleep, he would imagine a golden thread connecting his heart to an infinite source of supply. He would feel this thread pulsing with abundance, drawing to him everything he needed. He would imagine money flowing to him through this thread, not as payment for struggle, but as his natural inheritance as a son of the Most High. But here's what made Robert's technique so powerful. He didn't just imagine receiving money. He imagined being worthy of money, being someone to whom money naturally gravitated. He saw himself as a steward of abundance, someone through whom prosperity could flow to bless others. This shift from receiver to channel transformed everything. The breakthrough came in an unexpected way. Robert was walking past a construction site when he overheard two contractors arguing about a problem that was costing them thousands of dollars daily. Robert had encountered this exact problem years earlier in his failed business and had developed a solution. Within an hour, he had not only solved their problem, but had been offered a consulting contract worth more than he had made in the previous 2 years. Let me share with you another profound truth about money that most people never realize. Money has memory. Every bill, every coin, every transaction carries the consciousness of everyone who has handled it. When you receive money with gratitude and joy, you add to its positive memory. When you spend money with resentment or fear, you contaminate its energy. This is why the wealthy seem to attract money so effortlessly, not because they're lucky, but because they handle money with respect, confidence, and appreciation. Their consciousness elevates the very money they touch, and money, having consciousness, prefers to return to those who honor its nature. I learned this lesson in the most dramatic way during my early years in New York. I was struggling as a dancer, barely earning enough to eat. One day I found a crumpled $5 bill on the street, a fortune to me then. My first impulse was to rush to the nearest restaurant and satisfy my gnawing hunger. But something Abdullah had taught me stopped me cold. He had said, "Neville, the first money that comes to you when you change your consciousness is a test. How you treat this first gift determines how quickly and abundantly the rest will follow." So instead of spending that $5 on food, I took it to my small room, smoothed it out carefully, and held it while I prayed a prayer of gratitude. I thanked that $5 bill for coming to me. I blessed it and asked it to multiply and return to me with friends. Then I placed it in my Bible and left it there for 3 days, reading scripture about abundance each time I opened the book. When I finally spent it, I spent it on something beautiful. A small bouquet of flowers for the landlady who had been patient with my late rent. Within a week, opportunities began appearing from nowhere. A fellow dancer recommended me for a role I hadn't auditioned for. A stranger overheard me discussing my financial struggles and offered me odd jobs that paid remarkably well. By the end of the month, I had earned more than I had in the previous 3 months combined. You see, my friends, money is not merely currency, it's communication. Every financial transaction is a conversation between your consciousness and the infinite supply of the universe. When you pay bills with resentment, you're saying, "I don't have enough and I resent having to give this away." The universe responds by creating more situations where you feel you don't have enough. But when you pay bills with gratitude, you're saying, "I am so abundant that money flows through me to bless others." The universe responds by creating more situations where money can flow through you. This is not mystical nonsense. This is the practical application of consciousness to financial reality. You see, my friends, money is not merely currency. It's communication. Every financial transaction is a conversation between your consciousness and the infinite supply of the universe. When you pay bills with resentment, you're saying, "I don't have enough, and I resent having to give this away." The universe responds by creating more situations where you feel you don't have enough. But when you pay bills with gratitude, you're saying, "I am so abundant that money flows through me to bless others." The universe responds by creating more situations where money can flow through you. This is not mystical nonsense. This is the practical application of consciousness to financial reality. Let me teach you what I call the sacred exchange principle. Every time money changes hands, there is an opportunity for blessing or cursing, for elevation or diminishment. When you pay for something, you have 3 choices. You can pay with resentment, cursing the exchange. You can pay with indifference, neutral exchange, or you can pay with gratitude and blessing, elevating the exchange. The wealthy intuitively understand this principle. They don't just buy things, they invest in relationships. They support dreams. They participate in the flow of abundance. Even when they pay taxes, they see it as their contribution to the infrastructure that supports their prosperity. This consciousness of sacred exchange is what keeps money circulating back to them in ever-increasing amounts. Now let me tell you about what I call the assumption of wealth. This goes far deeper than mere positive thinking or visualization. This is about assuming the fundamental identity of someone to whom money flows naturally and effortlessly. It's about answering the question, who would I be if I had never known financial worry? The assumption of wealth is not about having millions in the bank. It's about having the consciousness that creates millions. It's about thinking like someone who has never doubted their ability to provide for themselves and their loved ones. It's about moving through the world with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are connected to an inexhaustible source. I remember a woman named Margaret who attended my lectures in Los Angeles. She was a school teacher, earning barely enough to survive, supporting her elderly mother and her sister's children after her sister's death. She came to me and said, "Neville, I understand what you teach about assumption. But how can I assume wealth when I can barely make ends meet?" I taught her the exercise I'm about to share with you. I said, "Margaret, every morning when you wake up before your feet touch the floor, I want you to lie still and imagine that you are waking up in the master bedroom of your dream home. Feel the luxury of the bed sheets, smell the fresh flowers that your housekeeper has placed in crystal vases, hear the sound of the fountain in your courtyard. But most importantly, feel the deep peace that comes from knowing you can provide abundantly for everyone you love." For the first month, Margaret found this exercise almost impossible. Her circumstances seemed to mock her imagination. Bills piled up, unexpected expenses arose, and her mother's medical needs increased. But I encouraged her to persist, reminding her that imagination is the only reality, and everything else is shadow. Gradually something began to shift. Margaret noticed that she was walking differently, speaking with more authority, making decisions with greater confidence. She stopped apologizing for her circumstances and started speaking about her future with certainty. When opportunities for extra income arose, instead of desperately grasping at them, she evaluated them with the discernment of someone who had many options. The transformation accelerated when Margaret began to give from her imagination of wealth, rather than from her circumstances of lack. Even though her bank account was nearly empty, she would mentally allocate portions of her imaginary abundance to help others. She would imagine setting up scholarships, funding community programs, supporting young teachers. What happened next can only be described as miraculous. Margaret received a call from a lawyer she had never met. It turned out that a former student of hers, now a successful businessman, had died and left her a substantial inheritance. His will stated that she had been the only teacher who had truly believed in him, and he wanted to ensure she never had to worry about money again. But the gift didn't stop there. The inheritance came with instructions for Margaret to establish an educational foundation, fulfilling exactly the vision she had been imagining during her morning exercises. Within 2 years, she had become one of the most influential educational philanthropists in the state, channeling millions of dollars to programs that transformed children's lives. When Margaret came to thank me, she said something I'll never forget. "Neville, I realized now that I wasn't imagining my future, I was remembering my true nature. The wealth wasn't coming to me, it was coming through me, because I had finally accepted that I am a channel for infinite abundance." This brings me to perhaps the most important teaching I can share with you tonight about money. You are not the destination of wealth, you are the vehicle of wealth. Money does not flow to you to stop with you, but to flow through you to accomplish great purposes. When you understand this, when you see yourself as a steward rather than an accumulator, money begins to trust you with greater and greater amounts. The universe is always seeking channels through which it can express its abundance. It's looking for people who can handle wealth without being corrupted by it, who can receive abundance without becoming selfish, who can prosper without forgetting their connection to others. When you prove yourself to be such a channel, wealth flows to you not as a reward but as a responsibility and an opportunity to serve. Let me share with you the technique that has produced more millionaires among my students than any other. I call it the generous millionaire meditation. Every night, as you prepare for sleep, imagine that you have just received news that you have inherited $10 million. But here's the crucial part. Instead of imagining what you would buy for yourself, imagine how you would use this money to make a difference in the world. Feel the joy of being able to pay off your parents' mortgage. Experience the satisfaction of funding scholarships for deserving students. Imagine the tears of gratitude in the eyes of someone whose medical bills you've just covered. Feel what it's like to walk through life, knowing that you have the power to transform situations, to turn desperation into hope, to be an answer to someone's prayers. As you imagine these scenarios night after night, something profound happens to your consciousness. You begin to associate money not with personal gratification, but with the power to serve, to heal, to elevate. This shift in association transforms your entire relationship with abundance, and abundance responds by manifesting in your experience. But remember this crucial point. You must feel these generous acts as already accomplished, not as future possibilities. In your imagination, you have already inherited the money and already blessed others with it. The feeling you're cultivating is not anticipation, but fulfillment, not hope, but completion. Before I close tonight, let me share with you the deepest secret about money that took me years to fully understand. Money is not a thing, it's a relationship. It's the relationship between consciousness and form, between desire and manifestation, between thought and thing. Every dollar is a love letter from the universe, confirming that your consciousness has been received and understood. When you truly grasp this, when you feel in your bones that every financial blessing is the universe saying yes to your assumptions about yourself, then money becomes not just currency but communion. Every transaction becomes a celebration. Every payment becomes a prayer. Every receipt becomes a receipt of divine approval. So tonight, I leave you with this sacred assignment. Go to your mirror and look into your own eyes. Not the eyes of someone who needs money, but the eyes of someone through whom money flows to bless the world. Say these words with the conviction of absolute truth. I am the energy of money. I am the vehicle of abundance. I am the channel through which infinite supply flows to accomplish infinite good. Feel these words not as affirmations, but as recognitions of what has always been true. You are not trying to become abundant. You are remembering that abundance is your nature. You are not trying to attract wealth. You are accepting that wealth is your birthright as a child of the infinite. The kingdom of abundance is not above you, not around you, but within you. Stop seeking it outside yourself and claim it where it has always been, in the wonderful world of your own imagination. And from that world of imagination, watch as your assumed wealth becomes your experienced wealth, as your imagined abundance becomes your lived abundance. You have the power, my friends. You have always had the power. Tonight decide to use it, not just for yourself, but for the elevation of all humanity. For when you prosper in consciousness, you create a template of possibility that others can follow. Your wealth becomes their hope. Your abundance becomes their inspiration. Go now and become the energy of money itself. The world is waiting for the wealth that only you can channel. You have the power, my friends. You have always had the power. Tonight decide to use it, not just for yourself, but for the elevation of all humanity. For when you prosper in consciousness, you create a template of possibility that others can follow. Your wealth becomes their hope. Your abundance becomes their inspiration. Go now and become the energy of money itself. The world is waiting for the wealth that only you can channel. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures, and I will see you in the next video.
The energy you surround yourself with plays a crucial role in attracting abundance into your life. Whether it's through mindfulness, positive affirmations, or surrounding yourself with symbols of prosperity, everything you do has the power to shape your financial future. When you align yourself with the right energy, you open the doors to limitless opportunities. Now, let's talk about something important. The economy might feel uncertain right now. You may be feeling anxious about your financial situation, but I want you to take a deep breath and let go of the fear. Listen carefully to every word of this message. It will shift your mindset and activate the energy of wealth within you. You may be skeptical, but I assure you, once you align yourself with the right frequency, you will be amazed at how quickly financial opportunities start appearing. You are now stepping into a new journey, one filled with prosperity, financial growth, and limitless abundance. Everything is shifting in your favor. The doors of wealth are opening, and you are about to receive more than you ever imagined. You are about to step into a completely new way of living, a life where money flows effortlessly into your hands, where abundance surrounds you, and where prosperity becomes your new reality. Whatever financial goals you've envisioned for yourself, no matter how big, expect even more. Your journey to wealth and financial success starts now. Before we move forward, take a moment to focus your mind. Breathe deeply, clear your thoughts, and concentrate on one powerful word. Increase. Increase in abundance. Increase in prosperity. Increase in wealth. Increase in cash flowing into your life. Increase in success touching every part of your journey. This increase isn't just for you. It will also uplift those you love. As your wealth grows, so does your ability to make a difference, to create opportunities, and to live the life you've always dreamed of. Right now, you may feel stuck, uncertain, or even doubtful about your financial future. But that's about to change. By the end of this video, you will no longer see money as something distant or difficult to obtain. Instead, you will understand that money is energy, and energy flows to where it is welcomed. Many people make the mistake of viewing money as just numbers in a bank account, but in reality, money is vibration. It is all around you, waiting for you to align with it. There is already an unlimited flow of wealth and prosperity moving in your direction. The only thing you need to do is open yourself to receive it, and that is exactly what we are going to do right now. Take a deep breath. Breathe in deeply through your nose, filling your lungs with fresh, clean energy. Feel the breath travel down, expanding your chest, filling your entire body with warmth, light, and calm. Hold it for a moment. Now slowly exhale through your mouth, releasing all tension, all stress, all doubt. Let go of anything that no longer serves you. This is your time. This is your moment. Right now, there is nothing else to do, nowhere else. To be simply relax. Allow yourself to sink into this experience fully. If you feel comfortable, gently close your eyes. Let the outside world fade away for a moment. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, that's perfectly fine. Just allow yourself to drift into a state of deep relaxation. Feel your body becoming lighter. Your shoulders loosen, your mind clears, your breath deepens. A profound sense of peace begins to settle over you, wrapping around you like a warm embrace. In this moment, there is nothing to worry about. Everything in your life is unfolding exactly as it should. There is no need to force anything. There is no need to rush. Right here, right now. You are in perfect alignment with the natural flow of the universe. You are stepping into a new version of yourself, one that is abundant, successful, and overflowing with prosperity. Now imagine a soft golden light surrounding you. This light is warm, comforting, powerful. It wraps around you like a protective cocoon of pure energy, shielding you from negativity, dissolving any lingering doubts and filling you with a deep, unshakable sense of certainty and peace. This is not just any light. It is the very essence of abundance, success, and infinite wealth. It is the energy of prosperity itself. With each breath you take, this light grows brighter, stronger, more radiant. It pulsates with pure golden energy, expanding all around you, flowing through you and illuminating every corner of your being. As it expands, it clears away the old, the doubts, the fears, the subconscious limitations that once held you back. It replaces them with confidence, clarity, and the unshakable belief that you are destined for abundance. Feel this golden energy moving through your body. It flows into your head, clearing your mind of all worry. It travels down your neck and shoulders, releasing tension, dissolving stress. It fills your heart, opening it wide to receive. It spreads down through your arms, through your hands, making you ready to grasp the wealth and success that is already on its way to you. The light continues to flow, moving into your stomach, your legs, your feet, grounding you in prosperity, anchoring you in certainty, aligning you with financial freedom. You are glowing with abundance. You are radiating success. You are overflowing with wealth. And as this light surrounds and fills you, it does something even greater. It begins to attract. Like a magnet, this energy starts pulling in limitless prosperity from all directions. Opportunities are drawn to you. Unexpected financial blessings start moving toward you. Wealth, success, and abundance begin gravitating toward you, effortlessly, naturally, powerfully. With every breath, this attraction becomes stronger. With every heartbeat, this reality becomes more certain. And now, as you are wrapped in this powerful golden glow, you hear these words, not just as words, but as vibrations. These are not just sounds. These are not just sentences. These words are energy. These words are frequencies. They hold within them the power to reshape your mind, transform your energy, and unlock the doors to infinite financial prosperity. They are more than affirmations. They are commands to the universe. They are decrees of wealth. They are declarations of success, and as you hear them, they do something profound. They begin sinking deep into your subconscious mind, rewriting your beliefs, shifting your perspective, erasing old limitations, and clearing the way for unlimited abundance to flood into your life. Right now, in this very moment, your reality is shifting. The version of you that once hesitated, once doubted, once questioned your financial future, that version is fading away. In its place, a new version of you is emerging, a version that is confident, unstoppable, and fully aligned with wealth and success. You are no longer waiting for abundance to find you. You are attracting it now. You are stepping into your wealth. You are stepping into your success. You are stepping into your destiny. Take a deep breath and embrace the limitless abundance that is now flowing into your life. From this very moment, your reality is shifting. Money is no longer something distant or difficult to obtain. It is no longer an uphill battle, nor is it something that requires endless effort or struggle. It is not a burden that weighs you down, nor is it something you have to constantly chase. Instead, money is a natural part of your existence. As natural as the air you breathe, as effortless as the waves that reach the shore, as abundant as the stars in the night sky. It is always present, always flowing, always available to you. Money is not something you need to earn through hardship or sacrifice. It is not something that belongs only to others. It belongs to you. It is meant for you. It is already on its way to you. From this moment forward, you are no longer on the outside looking in. You are in the flow. You are in perfect alignment with the endless infinite supply of wealth that surrounds you. You are a magnet for financial success. Wealth, prosperity, and opportunity are no longer things that seem out of reach. They are no longer dreams waiting to be realized. They are no longer reserved for someday. They are here right now. You are stepping into a life where money flows to you effortlessly. Opportunities unfold before you with ease. Doors open for you in unexpected and extraordinary ways. The right people, the right resources, and the right circumstances all align to bring you exactly what you need at exactly the right time. Take another deep breath in. Feel the shift happening within you. Hold that breath for a moment and slowly exhale. With each breath, you feel lighter. With each breath, you feel more powerful, more confident, more certain of the abundance that is flowing into your life. There is no resistance, no hesitation, no fear. Only trust, only certainty, only abundance. With every breath you take, your mind, body, and energy field are aligning more deeply with wealth, prosperity, and financial freedom. You are now stepping into a new reality, one where you are surrounded by limitless abundance. You no longer worry about money. You no longer wonder if it will come. You know it is already coming. You feel it. You see it. You trust in it completely. It is no longer a question of if. It is already done. Your wealth is secured. Your success is inevitable. Your life is forever changed. Now take another deep breath and welcome the abundance that is now flowing into your life. You are no longer waiting for wealth to appear. It is already here. It is already moving toward you. It is already yours. Take a moment to let this truth sink in, feel it, believe it, know it. This is the beginning of something extraordinary. Your financial breakthrough has already begun. Are you ready? Now listen carefully and repeat these words in your mind or out loud with absolute certainty. Believe them, feel them, and know that they are already manifesting in your life. I invoke the infinite source of all wealth and abundance. Today I begin a new chapter, a new life, one filled with prosperity, success, and limitless opportunities. I do not need to ask for wealth, for I know that I was born to be wealthy. Money is multiplying in my life every single day. I now declare to the universe that wealth flows to me effortlessly, without struggle, without resistance. I am rich. I am abundant. I am financially free. Wealth is my reality. Today I am completely free from every limiting belief that once held me back. Every old thought, every doubt, every false belief that told me money was difficult to obtain, that I was not meant for abundance, or that financial success was out of reach, it is now erased. From this moment forward, I release the past. I step away from lack, from limitation, from struggle. I no longer carry the burdens of scarcity or the fears of not having enough. I have stepped into a new reality, a reality where wealth flows to me as naturally as the air I breathe, a reality where prosperity is not just a possibility, it is my truth, my identity, my destiny. I am no longer waiting for abundance to arrive. I am walking in it now. I declare that my life is overflowing with riches in every form. Money is no longer something distant or elusive. It is an ever-present force that surrounds me. It is in the air I breathe, in the steps I take, in the decisions I make. It is no longer something I wish for or chase after. Instead, it naturally flows to me in ways both expected and unexpected. I am fully connected to the energy of money. I no longer see it as numbers in a bank account or pieces of paper. I recognize it for what it truly is, a limitless vibration of abundance, a force that responds to my thoughts, my beliefs, and my energy. I can feel its presence in my life right now. I sense it moving toward me, through me, and within me. I am in perfect harmony with wealth. It moves through my hands, my home, my career, and my relationships. It strengthens me, empowers me, and expands my ability to live freely and abundantly. Wealth is no longer something I must strive for. It is something that is drawn to me effortlessly and continuously. I am aligned with the limitless abundance of the universe. I decree I am wealthy. I decree I am rich beyond measure. I decree I am abundant in every way. I embrace this truth. I live this truth. I am this truth. Money flows to me easily, effortlessly, and in ever-increasing amounts every single day. There is no struggle, only flow, expansion, and prosperity. This is my intention, and so it is. This is my reality, and so it is. This is my life, and so it is. One powerful word now fills my life. It fills my hands, my wallet, my home, and my bank account. That word is increase. This increase is unstoppable. It expands with every breath I take, with every action I make. Wealth is no longer something I seek. It is something that seeks me. It finds me effortlessly. It reaches me in expected and unexpected ways. Money is not just numbers in a bank account. It is an energy that surrounds me, supports me, and flows through my life like an endless river of prosperity. Everywhere I go, opportunities appear. Doors open. Favor follows me. I am in harmony with wealth. I am in alignment with success. Abundance is mine, and I fully receive it.
Good evening, my dear friends. Tonight I'm going to share with you the most liberating, most revolutionary truth you will ever hear. It's a truth so radical that your mind will resist it, so profound that once you grasp it, you can never see reality the same way again. Here it is. All creation is finished. Everything exists now. Nothing is being created. Everything is being made manifest. I can see the confusion on your faces already. But Neville, you're thinking things are being created every day. New inventions, new buildings, new babies, new everything. No. Listen carefully. Things are being made visible every day. Things are being manifested, revealed, brought forth from the invisible into the visible. But created? No. All creation was finished at the foundation of the world. This isn't mystical speculation. This is the fundamental law of existence. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, past tense. Finished, complete. And then what? And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Not will make, not is making, had made. Complete. Finished. Everything that could ever exist already exists. Every possibility, every potential, every version of you, every desire you could ever have. It all exists right now in the eternal present moment. Your only task is not to create it, but to become aware of it, to tune into it, to claim it. Think about this carefully. When you desire something, anything, where does that desire come from? Does it spring from nothing? Can you desire what doesn't exist? No. You can only desire what already exists. Your desire is your awareness being drawn towards something that already is. When a seed desires to become a tree, is it creating the tree? No. The tree already exists within the seed, complete and perfect. The seed simply unfolds what is already there. You are the same. Your desires are not creating new realities. They're unfolding realities that already exist in the infinite field of consciousness. Let me tell you about a conversation I had that changed how I understood this principle. A scientist came to my lectures, a man trained in logic and evidence. He challenged me. Mr. Goddard, you speak of all creation being finished, but I work in a laboratory. I create new compounds every day that never existed before. How can you say nothing is being created? I smiled at him. Sir, tell me, what are these compounds made of? Atoms, molecules, elements from the periodic table. And were these atoms created by you? No, they existed before. So you're not creating anything new. You're simply rearranging what already exists into new patterns. The pattern is new to your awareness, but the fundamental substance was already there. You're discovering, not creating. He sat silently, the truth dawning on him. Finally he said, then everything I've ever invented already existed? I was just finding it? Exactly, I said. Every invention throughout human history already existed as potential in the infinite field of possibilities. The inventor didn't create it. He became aware of it. He tuned into the frequency where that invention already existed, and he brought it forth into visibility. This is the great secret. You don't create your desires. You claim them. You don't make them real. You recognize that they already are real. You don't bring them into existence. You bring them into your experience. A woman once came to me desperate for a child. She had been trying for years with no success. She prayed, she begged, she pleaded with God to create a child for her. Please, she cried, let me have a child. I stopped her. Madam, your prayer is founded on a misunderstanding. God is not going to create a baby for you. Creation is finished. But your baby already exists, right now, in this moment. In the infinite field of all possibilities, your baby exists complete and perfect. Then why don't I have my baby? She asked desperately. Because you're not tuned to the frequency where you have your baby. You're tuned to the frequency where you're trying to have a baby. You're living in the consciousness of wanting, not having. You're praying to a God outside yourself to create something, when you should be claiming what already exists by occupying the consciousness of a mother. I taught her to stop begging for creation and start claiming what was already created. Your baby exists now, I told her. Feel the reality of being a mother, not hoping to become one, not trying to become one, but being one. The baby is already yours. You're simply making yourself aware of it. She practiced this faithfully. Within 2 months she was pregnant. But here's what fascinated me. When she told me the news, she wasn't surprised. She said, of course, I've been a mother in consciousness for weeks now. My body is simply catching up to where I already am. This is what I mean by all creation finished. The baby wasn't created when she conceived. The baby already existed in consciousness, and she simply tuned into the reality where the baby was hers. Now this principle extends to everything. That relationship you desire, it exists now. That career you dream of, it exists now. That health, that wealth, that success, that joy, all of it exists now. Not in the future, not as a possibility that might happen, but now, complete and perfect in the infinite present moment. But Neville, you ask, if everything already exists, why do I experience lack? Why don't I have what I desire? Because consciousness is selective. At any moment, you're tuned into one frequency of reality out of infinite frequencies. You're experiencing one version of the infinite possibilities that exist. The version you experience is determined entirely by your consciousness, by where your awareness is tuned. Think of it like a radio. Every station is broadcasting simultaneously. Music, news, talk shows, all broadcasting right now through the air around you. But you only hear one station at a time depending on where you tune the dial. The other stations don't stop existing because you're not tuned to them. They're all there, all real, all broadcasting simultaneously. Reality is the same. Every possible version of your life exists right now. The version where you're wealthy and the version where you're poor. The version where you're healthy and the version where you're sick. The version where you're loved and the version where you're lonely. All existing simultaneously. Your consciousness is the dial. Where you tune it determines which version you experience. And you tune it not through physical action, not through effort or struggle, but through assumption. Through claiming in consciousness the reality you wish to experience. Let me share a personal example. When I was in Barbados, I desired to be in New York studying these principles. Now, was New York created when I got there? Of course not. New York already existed. My journey to New York wasn't creating anything new. It was simply moving me from the awareness of being in Barbados to the awareness of being in New York. But here's the crucial point. I didn't move to New York first in the physical world. I moved to New York first in consciousness. I tuned into the frequency where I was already in New York. I lived in that awareness so completely that Barbados felt like the dream and New York felt like the reality. The physical journey, the ship, the travel, the arrival, all of that was simply consciousness in motion, reality rearranging itself to match where I already was in awareness. This is what I mean when I say nothing is being created. Everything is being revealed, manifested, made visible. But it all already exists in the infinite now. A businessman asked me, "Are you saying my company's future success already exists somewhere?" "Not somewhere," I corrected him. "Right here, right now. Your successful company exists in this moment as completely as your current struggling company. Both exist. Both are real. The question is, which one are you tuned into?" "The struggling one, obviously," he said. "That's my reality. That's your current experience," I said. But experience and reality are not the same thing. Reality is infinite and contains all possibilities. Your experience is singular and reflects your current consciousness. Change your consciousness and you change your experience. But you're not creating new reality. You're selecting different reality. He looked doubtful. "This sounds too simple." "It is simple," I agreed. But simple doesn't mean easy. Most people find it incredibly difficult to tune their consciousness away from what their senses show them and toward what they desire. But those who master this art discover that reality is infinitely malleable, because they understand they're not trying to create or change anything. They're simply selecting from what already exists. This man applied this understanding. Instead of trying to build his success, he tuned into the frequency where his success already existed. Within 6 months, his business had transformed, but he told me something interesting. The changes didn't feel like I was building something new. They felt like I was revealing something that was already there, waiting to be discovered. Exactly, because that's precisely what happened. Now, here's where this teaching becomes incredibly practical. If all creation is finished, if everything already exists, then your task is not to create your desire or make it happen. Your task is simply to claim it, to occupy the consciousness where your desire is already yours. How do you do this? You assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not as something that will be fulfilled someday, but as something that is fulfilled now, because it is fulfilled now in consciousness where all reality exists. When you desire health, you're not asking God to create health for you. Health already exists. You're simply tuning into the frequency where you're healthy. When you desire wealth, you're not trying to create money. Money already exists. Billions of dollars exist right now. You're tuning into the consciousness where that wealth is yours. This understanding changes everything. It removes strain, effort, struggle. You're not trying to make something happen. You're not trying to force reality to bend to your will. You're simply claiming what already is. A young lady once said to me, "But Mr. Goddard, this seems almost too easy. If everything already exists, why isn't everyone just claiming whatever they want?" Because I replied, most people don't believe it. They think they must create, earn, deserve, or work for their desires. They think reality is fixed and they must manipulate it through action. They don't understand that consciousness is the only reality, and that tuning consciousness is the only action required. But doesn't this make us lazy? She asked. If we just assume we have things, won't we stop working? On the contrary, I said, when you truly assume you have your desire, you naturally take the actions that someone with that desire would take. But these actions flow effortlessly because you're acting from fulfillment, not toward it. You're not trying to make something happen. You're simply being who you already are in consciousness. Let me give you a practice for tonight. Choose one desire, just one. Instead of thinking about how to create it, how to make it happen, or when it will arrive, simply acknowledge this truth: it already exists. Right now, in this moment, your desire fulfilled is as real as anything you can touch or see. Now tune into that reality. Feel yourself in the consciousness where this desire is already yours. Not will be yours, not might be yours, but is yours. How would you feel? How would you think? How would you move through the world? Occupy that consciousness, not as pretending, not as visualization, not as hoping, but as recognition of what already is. You're not creating anything, you're claiming what's already created. Do this consistently and watch what happens. The physical world will begin to reflect the consciousness you're occupying, not because you're creating new reality, but because you're experiencing different reality. Reality that was always there, waiting for you to tune into it. One final story. A man came to me completely broken. He had lost his job, his savings, his confidence. "Mr. Goddard," he said, "my life is destroyed. I need to start over to create a new life from scratch." "No," I said firmly. "You don't need to create anything. The life you desire already exists right now. You don't need to start over. You need to tune in." "But how can the life I desire exist when everything is falling apart?" Because I explained everything falling apart is one frequency of reality. But simultaneously there exists the frequency where everything is coming together, where you're employed, prosperous, confident, both exist now. You've been tuned to the falling apart station, tuned to the coming together station. He looked at me as if I'd spoken in a foreign language, but something in my certainty must have reached him, because he asked, "How do I change the station?" "Stop trying to fix what's falling apart," I said. "That just keeps you tuned to that frequency. Instead, feel yourself already living the life you desire. Feel the relief of being employed. Feel the security of having money. Feel the confidence of success. Don't try to create these things, they already exist. Just tune into them." He did. And within weeks, opportunities began appearing. Within months, his life had completely turned around. When I saw him again, he said, "You were right. I wasn't building a new life. I was discovering a life that was already there, waiting for me to notice it." This is the truth, my friends. All creation is finished. Everything exists now. Your only task is to select through your consciousness which reality you will experience. Stop trying to create and start claiming. Stop trying to make it happen and start recognizing it already is. Stop living in the consciousness of wanting and start living in the consciousness of having. Everything you desire exists now. The question is not whether it exists, but whether you will claim it. Will you tune your consciousness to the frequency where your desire is already yours? The power is within you. The reality is already created. Your work is simply to claim it. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures, and I will see you in the next video. My dear friends, imagine for a moment that you could step back from your life and observe it as if you were watching a movie. You see yourself going through your daily routines, experiencing your challenges and triumphs, interacting with other characters in your personal drama. Now imagine that you suddenly realize you are not just watching this movie. You are dreaming it. And more astounding still, you discover that because you are dreaming it, you have the power to change the script, alter the scenes, transform the characters, and direct the entire production according to your will. Tonight I want to reveal to you the most liberating truth you will ever encounter. Your entire life is nothing more than a lucid dream. And you are the dreamer who has forgotten that you are dreaming. Every person you meet, every situation you encounter, every circumstance you experience is a character, scene, or event in the grand dream of your consciousness. And just like in a lucid dream, the moment you realize you are dreaming, you gain the power to consciously create your experience. This revelation came to me not through philosophy or theory, but through direct experience. Years ago, a gentleman approached me after a lecture, his face etched with the deepest despair I had ever witnessed. He said, "Neville, my life is a nightmare. My wife has left me, my business has failed, my health is deteriorating, and my children won't speak to me. How can you tell people they can change their reality when mine seems so fixed, so hopeless, so completely beyond my control?" I looked at this broken man and I said something that shocked him to his core. "My friend, you are describing a nightmare, not reality. And the beautiful thing about nightmares is that they end the moment you realize you are dreaming them. Your wife's departure, your business failure, your health problems, your children's silence. These are all dream events in the consciousness that you are. They feel real because all dreams feel real while you are dreaming them. But they are no more permanent or unchangeable than any nightmare that has ever plagued your sleep." He stared at me with a mixture of hope and disbelief. "But Neville, I can touch these problems. I can see the empty house, the closed business, the medical reports. How can you say these are dreams?" Because I replied, consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is its dream. Your physical world is not separate from your consciousness. It is your consciousness projected outward like images on a screen. What you call your life is actually consciousness dreaming itself into experience through the vehicle of your individual awareness. I spent the next hour teaching this man the principles of lucid dreaming in waking life. I showed him how to recognize the dreamlike nature of his experience, how to become conscious within the dream of his life, and how to begin directing the dream according to his desires rather than his fears. The transformation was remarkable. Within 3 months, every aspect of his nightmare had transformed. His wife returned with renewed love and commitment. His business not only reopened but flourished beyond his previous success. His health improved dramatically. His children reached out to reconcile. But the most remarkable change was in the man himself. He had awakened to his power as the conscious dreamer of his life experience. You see, what we call waking life and what we call dreams are both states of consciousness. The only difference is that in sleeping dreams, we usually don't realize we're dreaming until we wake up. But in the dream we call waking life, most people never realize they're dreaming at all. They believe the dream is reality. and they are powerless characters trapped within its scenarios. But when you awaken to the truth that life is a lucid dream, everything changes. You realize that every person in your life is a character being dreamed by your consciousness. Every situation you face is a scene being projected by your imagination. Every circumstance you encounter is an event being created by your assumptions and beliefs. This is not metaphor or poetic language. This is literal truth. Just as in your sleeping dreams, every character, no matter how real they seem, is actually an aspect of your own mind, so too in your waking dream, every person you encounter is an aspect of your own consciousness appearing to be separate. When you dream at night and encounter people in your dreams, you don't think they have independent existence outside your mind. You understand they are projections of your consciousness. Yet those same dream characters can seem to have their own personalities, make their own decisions, and even oppose your will within the dream. The dream feels completely real while you're experiencing it. Your waking life operates by the exact same principle. The difference is that the waking dream is more stable, more consistent, and more collective than your private sleeping dreams. But it is still fundamentally a dream, the dream of consciousness experiencing itself through infinite individual perspectives. Let me tell you about a woman who grasped this truth so completely that she transformed what appeared to be an impossible situation. She came to me in tears saying, "Neville, my daughter has been addicted to drugs for 5 years. She steals from me, lies to me, and brings dangerous people into our home. I've tried everything. Treatment centers, interventions, tough love, unconditional support. Nothing works. How can I change someone who doesn't want to change?" I said to her, "You cannot change someone else because there is no someone else to change. There is only your consciousness dreaming the character you call your daughter. The addicted, lying, stealing daughter is a character in your dream, created by your own consciousness. But consciousness can dream any character it chooses. Your daughter, as a healthy, honest, loving person, is equally available to be dreamed." She looked at me in confusion. "But my daughter is a real person with her own free will. How can you say she's just a character in my dream?" "In your sleeping dreams," I replied, "do the characters have free will? They seem to, don't they? They make decisions, have conversations, act independently. Yet you know they are all projections of your own mind. Your daughter's apparent free will is the same phenomenon. Consciousness creating the experience of separate, independent characters within its own dream. I taught this woman the principles of lucid dreaming applied to her relationship with her daughter. Instead of reacting to the dream character of addicted daughter, she began to dream the character of recovered daughter. Instead of focusing on the nightmare scenario of addiction, she began to experience the dream scenario of healing and wholeness. Every day she would spend time in conscious dreaming, what others might call visualization or imagination, but which is actually the practice of directing the dream of life. She would dream conversations with her healthy daughter. She would dream scenes of their harmonious relationship. She would dream the feeling of having a daughter who was clean, honest, and loving. But most importantly, she learned to see her actual daughter not as a fixed character with permanent traits, but as a fluid dream projection that could change as her consciousness changed. When her daughter acted out, instead of reacting to the behavior as real, she would remember, "This is a dream sequence reflecting my old consciousness of fear and limitation. I can choose to dream a different scene." The transformation took 6 months, but it was profound and lasting. Her daughter voluntarily entered treatment, successfully overcame her addiction, and rebuilt their relationship with complete honesty and genuine love. The mother had not changed another person. She had changed her dream, and the dream character naturally reflected the new dream consciousness. This is the power of recognizing life as a lucid dream. You stop being a victim of your dream and start being the conscious director of it. You stop reacting to dream events as if they were unchangeable realities, and start creating dream events according to your highest vision. But let me address what might be your immediate concern. If life is a dream, does that mean it doesn't matter? Does that make it less real or less meaningful? Quite the opposite. When you realize you are dreaming, the dream becomes infinitely more meaningful because you recognize yourself as its creator. When you understand that you are the dreamer, every aspect of your experience becomes a reflection of your own consciousness, worthy of your attention and care. Moreover, the dream of life is not a private dream like your sleeping dreams. It is what we might call a shared dream or collective dream. A dream being dreamed by universal consciousness through countless individual perspectives. Your personal dream is interconnected with everyone else's dream, creating the stable, consistent, seemingly objective world we all experience. But within this shared dream, you are still the absolute authority over your personal experience. Just as in a lucid dream, you cannot control every aspect of the dream environment, but you can control your responses, your choices, and your personal dream narrative. Let me share with you the story of a man who understood this principle so deeply that he transformed his entire life's circumstances through conscious dream direction. He was a teacher in an inner-city school, surrounded by violence, poverty, and hopelessness. He said to me, "Neville, I want to help these children, but the system is broken, the community is destroyed, and the problems are overwhelming. How can I make a difference when everything around me is falling apart?" I said to him, "You are dreaming yourself as a teacher in a nightmare scenario, but you could just as easily dream yourself as a teacher in an inspiring, transformative environment. The children, the system, the community, these are all aspects of your dream. Change the dreamer, and the dream must change." "But these are real children with real problems," he protested. "Yes," I replied, "and in your sleeping dreams, the characters also seem to have real problems. But those problems exist within your dream consciousness, not outside it. These children and their circumstances exist within the dream of consciousness, both your individual consciousness and the collective consciousness of which you are a part. By changing your dream consciousness, you participate in changing the collective dream." This teacher began to practice conscious dreaming about his work environment. Instead of seeing himself as overwhelmed by problems beyond his control, he began to dream himself as a powerful, inspiring educator surrounded by eager, successful students. Instead of experiencing his school as a place of limitation and despair, he began to dream it as a place of transformation and hope. But he didn't just dream differently. He began to act from within his new dream. He treated his students as if they were the successful, inspired learners he was dreaming them to be. He approached his work as if he were in the transformative environment he was dreaming. He spoke to parents and administrators from the consciousness of someone whose dream was one of educational excellence and student success. Within 2 years, his classroom had become a model program. His students were achieving at levels no one thought possible. Other teachers were asking him for advice. The administration was implementing his innovative methods throughout the school. The local media was featuring his success story. Had he changed external reality through some mystical power? No. He had changed his dream consciousness, and the dream naturally reflected his new inner reality. This is what happens when you master the art of lucid living. You stop being tossed around by dream events and start consciously participating in dream creation. You stop feeling powerless in your circumstances and start exercising your power as the dreamer of your circumstances. But understanding life as a lucid dream also reveals why change sometimes seems so difficult or slow. In your sleeping dreams, when you become lucid, you can often make immediate changes. Fly, teleport, transform the dream environment. But the waking dream has different characteristics. It has momentum, consistency, and stability that make changes more gradual. This is because the waking dream is not just your personal dream. It's a collective dream involving billions of dreamers. Your personal changes must harmonize with the larger dream structure. But within that structure, you have complete authority over your personal dream experience. Think of it like being an actor who suddenly realizes they're in a play and begins to consciously direct their performance. You can't immediately change the entire play, but you can completely transform your character, your lines, your relationships with other characters, and your personal experience of the drama. I remember a woman who was struggling with this concept. She said, Neville, if I'm dreaming my husband is critical and unsupportive, why can't I just change the dream and make him loving and encouraging? I explained to her, you can change your dream of your husband, but it may take time for the dream character to reflect your new dream consciousness. Meanwhile, you can immediately change your experience of the relationship by changing how you dream yourself within it. I taught her to dream herself as deeply loved and supported, regardless of her husband's current behavior. I showed her how to dream conversations with him from the consciousness of perfect harmony. I guided her to dream feelings of appreciation and connection, even when his words or actions seemed to contradict those feelings. At first, nothing seemed to change externally, but something profound was changing in her experience of the relationship. She was no longer hurt by his criticism because she was dreaming from the consciousness of being loved. She was no longer disappointed by his lack of support because she was dreaming from the consciousness of being supported. And gradually the dream character began to reflect her new dream consciousness. Her husband became more loving, more supportive, more appreciative, not because she had forced him to change, but because she had changed her dream of the relationship, and dream characters naturally reflect the consciousness of the dreamer. This brings us to one of the most profound aspects of understanding life as a lucid dream. The recognition that everyone you meet is both a separate being and a projection of your own consciousness. This paradox is resolved when you understand that consciousness is one, appearing as many. But let me address a crucial point. Understanding life as a lucid dream does not mean you can or should try to control every aspect of other people's experiences. Just as in a sleeping dream, other characters have their own apparent autonomy within the dream structure. Your power lies not in controlling others, but in dreaming yourself and your relationships with others from the highest possible consciousness. You cannot dream someone else's dreams for them, but you can dream your shared experiences with them from love rather than fear, from abundance rather than lack, from harmony rather than conflict. And as you change your side of the shared dream, you create space and invitation for them to change their side as well. This understanding also reveals why it's so important to take responsibility for your dream rather than blaming other dream characters for your experience. When you blame others for your problems, you are like a dreamer, blaming dream characters for the content of your dream. When you take responsibility for your experience, you reclaim your power as the dreamer of your life. I remember a businessman who was constantly frustrated with his employees. He said, Neville, these people are lazy, incompetent, and unreliable. How can I run a successful business with such poor human resources? I said to him, you are dreaming employees who reflect your consciousness of limitation and frustration. If you want to dream employees who are capable and reliable, you must first dream yourself as a leader worthy of such employees. I taught him to dream his business relationships from a completely different consciousness. Instead of dreaming himself as frustrated with incompetent employees, he began to dream himself as appreciated by dedicated, skilled workers. Instead of experiencing his role as struggling against resistance, he began to dream his leadership as inspiring, willing cooperation. This brings us to one of the most practical applications of understanding life as a lucid dream. The ability to wake up within difficult or unpleasant dream sequences and consciously redirect them. In your sleeping dreams, when you become lucid during a nightmare, you can choose to fly away, transform the scary characters into friendly ones, or change the entire dream scenario. The same principle applies to challenging situations in your waking dream. When you find yourself in a difficult conversation, you can remember this is a dream sequence and choose to dream it differently. When you face a challenging situation, you can recognize it as a scene in your dream and begin to dream a more positive scene. When you encounter resistance or opposition, you can see it as dream drama and dream harmony instead. Let me tell you about a woman who mastered this technique in her marriage. She said, Neville, my husband and I have the same argument over and over. It always starts the same way, unfolds in the same pattern, and ends with the same hurt feelings. How can I break this cycle? I taught her to recognize their arguments as recurring dream sequences. patterns that her consciousness had created and was unconsciously perpetuating. I showed her how to become lucid during these arguments and consciously dream them differently. The next time an argument began, instead of reacting from her habitual pattern, she remembered this is a dream sequence. I can choose to dream this conversation differently. Instead of defending herself or attacking him, she began to dream the conversation as loving and understanding. Instead of experiencing him as her opponent, she began to dream him as her partner in solving whatever issue had arisen. The change was immediate and profound. The argument pattern broke. The conversation became productive and loving. Her husband later said he didn't know what had happened, but something had shifted in their communication that day. This woman had learned to become lucid within her relationship dreams and consciously direct them toward harmony and love rather than unconsciously perpetuating conflict and separation. But perhaps the most profound application of lucid living is in the area of personal identity and self-concept. In your sleeping dreams, you can dream yourself as anyone, a different age, gender, profession, or even species. In your waking dream, you have the same flexibility, though the changes may be more gradual. Most people dream themselves as limited, flawed, lacking, or stuck. But when you realize you are dreaming your identity, you can begin to dream yourself as unlimited, perfect, abundant, and free. You can dream yourself as healthy when you appear sick, wealthy when you appear poor, loved when you appear alone. This is the ultimate gift of understanding life as a lucid dream. The recognition that you are not stuck with any identity, any circumstances, any limitations. You are the dreamer. And the dreamer can dream any dream, become any character, experience any reality. Your health, your wealth, your relationships, your career, your circumstances, all of these are dream elements that can be changed by changing the consciousness that dreams them. You are not the victim of your dream. You are its author, director, and star. But remember, becoming lucid in the dream of life is not about escaping from the dream or dismissing it as unreal. It's about participating consciously and lovingly in the magnificent dream of existence. When you realize you are dreaming, the dream becomes more precious, not less, because you recognize it as the creative expression of consciousness itself. So tonight I invite you to begin the grand adventure of lucid living. Start to see your life as the dream it is, not a lesser reality, but a greater one, because it is reality conscious of itself, reality creating itself, reality experiencing itself through the infinite creativity of consciousness. Begin to notice the dreamlike qualities of your experience. Observe how your inner states create outer circumstances. Watch how changing your consciousness changes your experience. Practice becoming lucid within challenging situations and consciously dreaming them differently. Most importantly, remember that you are not a character trapped in someone else's dream. You are consciousness itself, dreaming the magnificent dream of individual existence while remaining eternally free to change any aspect of that dream through the power of awakened awareness. Life is a lucid dream, and you are the lucid dreamer. What will you choose to dream? As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures, and I will see you in the next video.
My friends, tonight I want to reveal to you the most profound secret about money that has ever been discovered. A truth so revolutionary that it will completely transform your relationship with wealth, abundance, and financial success. Listen carefully. Money is not paper. Money is not metal. Money is not numbers in a bank account. Money is pure energy, the energy of divine love made manifest in symbolic form. When you understand this truth, truly understand it, you will never struggle with money again. The great mystics knew this secret. They understood that money is simply divine love seeking expression through material form. It is the universe's way of saying, I love you, through tangible means. Every dollar that flows to you is a kiss from the infinite. Every financial blessing is a demonstration of divine favor. But here is what the world has never taught you. This energy of money vibrates at exactly the same frequency as self-love, self-respect, and recognition of your own divine worth. This is not metaphorical language. This is literal truth. When you vibrate at the frequency of self-love, you automatically attract the energy that manifests as money. Everything in this universe is energy vibrating at different frequencies. Water can be ice, liquid, or steam. The same H2O molecules expressing different vibrational states. Similarly, the energy of abundance can manifest as money, opportunities, gifts, or any form of material good, depending upon the frequency at which you are vibrating. When you love yourself, truly love yourself, you naturally vibrate at the frequency of wealth. You don't tolerate environments that diminish you. You don't chase people who don't value you. You don't settle for less than you deserve. You don't spend money to impress others. You invest money to express your true nature. This is the exact same energy signature that attracts wealth, because money flows to those who respect it, value it, and see it as an expression of divine abundance rather than the root of all evil. I once knew a man who earned minimum wage but carried himself with the dignity of a millionaire. He dressed impeccably with what little he had, treated every dollar with reverence, and never spoke of money with contempt or fear. Within 2 years, he had built a business empire. The money was drawn to him like iron filings to a magnet, because his frequency was already aligned with wealth consciousness. Money follows self-worth. Here is a truth that will revolutionize your financial life. Your bank account is nothing more than a perfect reflection of your self-worth, not your self-esteem. That's just surface emotion. I'm speaking of your deep core conviction about your own value in the universe. If you believe at the deepest level that you are worth $50,000 per year, the universe will orchestrate circumstances to ensure you earn approximately that amount. If you truly know yourself to be worth millions, the universe has no choice but to deliver opportunities that match this inner conviction. This is why people who win the lottery often lose it all. Their windfall exceeded their inner sense of worth, creating an unconscious discomfort that compelled them to return to their familiar financial level. They hadn't lifted their consciousness to match their bank account, so their bank account eventually dropped to match their consciousness. But when you consciously elevate your sense of worth, when you truly recognize yourself as a divine being deserving of abundant prosperity, the universe begins immediately to adjust your external circumstances to match this inner reality. Let me share with you the story of a woman who came to me earning $30,000 per year and feeling trapped in financial limitation. When I asked her what she believed she was worth, she hesitated and finally whispered, maybe $35,000. I showed her that she was thinking like a servant instead of a master. A servant asks permission from circumstances. A master commands circumstances through consciousness. I taught her to see herself as inherently valuable, not because of what she did, but because of what she was, a divine expression of infinite worth. We worked together to elevate her inner sense of value. Instead of seeing herself as someone hoping to earn more, she began to assume the consciousness of someone naturally worth abundant compensation. Within 6 months, she had doubled her income. Within 2 years, she was earning over $150,000 annually. The opportunities were always there, but she couldn't perceive them from her former consciousness of limited worth. Now, let me teach you something that banks and financial institutions pray you never discover. Money is energy, and energy must flow to remain alive. When you hoard money out of fear, you kill its energy. When you circulate money with love and wisdom, you multiply its power. This doesn't mean you should spend recklessly or fail to save and invest. It means you must understand that money is like water. It must flow to stay fresh. Stagnant water becomes polluted. Stagnant money becomes powerless to attract more of itself. The wealthy understand this principle intuitively. They know that money spent wisely returns multiplied. They invest in assets that generate income. They circulate money through business ventures that serve others. They understand that every dollar released with love and purpose will return with friends. But the poor think differently. They grip money with fear, terrified that spending any amount will leave them with less. This scarcity consciousness creates the very lack they fear. Their tight-fisted approach to money repels the very abundance they seek. I want to share with you a technique that will transform your relationship with money forever. The sacred circulation practice. Whenever money flows to you, whether a paycheck, a gift, or an unexpected windfall, immediately circulate a portion of it with love and gratitude. This doesn't mean giving it all away. It means consciously directing some of it toward purposes that serve the greater good, while filling your heart with joy. Pay your bills with gratitude, knowing that money is flowing through you to support others. Make investments with excitement, seeing each dollar as a seed that will grow into greater abundance. Give generously to causes that inspire you, recognizing that you are participating in the divine circulation of love. As you do this consistently, you will notice something remarkable. Money begins to flow to you more freely because you have demonstrated that you understand its true nature as flowing energy rather than static possession. Here is perhaps the most important distinction you will ever learn about money. There is a vast difference between having money and being wealthy. Having money is temporary. It can be gained or lost based on external circumstances. Being wealthy is a state of consciousness that naturally attracts money as its outward expression. When you are wealthy in consciousness, you think thoughts of abundance. You make decisions from prosperity rather than from lack. You carry yourself with the dignity of someone who knows their worth. You speak about money with respect and appreciation rather than fear and resentment. This wealthy consciousness is available to you right now, regardless of your current bank balance. You can choose to embody it immediately, and as you do, your external circumstances will begin to shift to match this inner state. I remember a time when I had only a few dollars to my name, yet I chose to think and feel like a millionaire. I walked with confidence, spoke with authority, and made decisions from abundance rather than scarcity. People began to treat me differently. Opportunities appeared that had been invisible before. Within months, my financial reality had transformed to match my inner conviction. The key is understand that wealth consciousness is not dependent upon wealth manifestation. It's the other way around. First, you become wealthy in mind and heart. Then wealth appears in your material world. Let me now reveal to you the most powerful technique for transforming your financial reality. The practice of assumption, applied specifically to money consciousness. Every night, as you prepare for sleep, assume the feeling of already possessing the wealth you desire. But don't just imagine having money. Feel what it feels like to be a wealthy person. Experience the consciousness of abundance from the inside out. Feel the peace that comes from knowing you have more than enough. Experience the generosity that flows naturally from abundance. Sense the freedom that comes from having multiple streams of income. Know the joy of being able to help others and support causes you believe in. As you generate these feelings night after night, you are impressing your subconscious mind with the reality of your wealth. Your subconscious, which cannot distinguish between imagined and actual experience, begins to restructure your entire life to match this new reality. But here's the crucial point. You must feel these emotions as if they are already true, not as if you hope they will become true. The difference between these two approaches is the difference between commanding and begging, between creating and hoping. I worked with a man who was deeply in debt and facing bankruptcy. Every night, instead of worrying about his financial problems, he would lie in bed and feel what it would be like to have abundant wealth flowing to him from multiple sources. He would imagine paying off all his debts with ease, investing in profitable ventures, and living with complete financial freedom. His logical mind protested, telling him this was foolish fantasy, but he persisted in assuming the feeling of financial abundance every single night. Within a year, he had not only eliminated his debt, but had built a thriving business that generated more wealth than he had ever imagined possible. The turning point came when he stopped trying to figure out how his situation would improve and simply assumed that it already had improved in consciousness. Once he made this inner shift, the universe began to orchestrate the external circumstances to match his new assumption. Now I want to share with you a perspective that will revolutionize your understanding of wealth. Money is spiritual currency. It is the material expression of your ability to serve others and add value to the world. Every dollar you earn represents value you have created for another human being. Every fortune that lasts is built upon genuine service to humanity. This is why businesses that truly serve prosper, while those that merely seek to extract money from people eventually fail. When you shift your focus from how can I make money to how can I serve in ways that naturally generate abundant compensation, you align yourself with the spiritual laws that govern lasting wealth. The universe is infinitely abundant, but it operates on the principle of circulation. Wealth flows to those who facilitate this circulation through service, value creation, and genuine contribution to the well-being of others. I once counseled a woman who was struggling to build her consulting business. She was focused entirely on how much money she could make from each client. Her consciousness was one of extraction rather than contribution. Naturally, clients were scarce, and those she did attract paid her minimally. I helped her shift her focus to the value she could provide. Instead of thinking about what she could get from clients, she began to concentrate on what she could give to them. She started seeing each potential client as an opportunity to make a meaningful difference in someone's life. This shift in consciousness transformed everything. Clients began seeking her out. They gladly paid premium prices for her services. Her income increased tenfold within 18 months. But more importantly, she found deep fulfillment in her work. The money followed naturally because she had aligned herself with the spiritual principle that governs all lasting wealth: genuine service to others. You also need to break the poverty spell. Most people are under a spell, the poverty spell cast by generations of limited thinking about money. This spell manifests as beliefs like money is the root of all evil. Rich people are greedy, there's not enough to go around, and I don't deserve wealth. These beliefs are not your own. They were inherited from parents, absorbed from society, and reinforced by media that profits from keeping you in financial limitation. But spells can be broken, and I'm going to show you how. The poverty spell is broken through the conscious practice of wealth assumptions. Every time you catch yourself thinking a limiting thought about money, immediately replace it with an assumption of abundance. Instead of "I can't afford that," say "I am abundantly prospered." Instead of "money is tight," declare "money flows to me freely." Instead of "I'm not good with money," affirm "I am naturally wealthy." But remember, this is not mere positive thinking. You must generate the feeling of these statements being true. You must think from wealth, not of wealth. You must embody the consciousness of abundance, not merely recite abundance affirmations. Let me tell you about a man who was so deep under the poverty spell that he would literally push money away when it was offered to him. He had been taught that accepting money made him greedy or weak. This belief had kept him in poverty for decades. I helped him understand that money is simply energy, and rejecting it was like rejecting divine love. We worked to reprogram his deep-seated beliefs about his worthiness to receive abundance. As his consciousness shifted, his ability to attract and keep money transformed dramatically. Within 2 years, he had gone from pushing money away to naturally attracting multiple income streams. The spell was broken through conscious assumption and persistent practice. Let me now reveal to you the specific consciousness that creates millionaires. The millionaire mindset is not about having $1 million. It's about thinking in principles that naturally generate $1 million results. Millionaires think in terms of multiplication, not addition. They think in terms of systems, not single transactions. They think in terms of value creation, not job security. They think in terms of assets that produce income, not just income itself. But most importantly, millionaires assume abundance as their natural state. They expect good things to happen. They believe they deserve prosperity. They see opportunities where others see problems. They take calculated risks while others remain paralyzed by fear. You can adopt this millionaire consciousness immediately, regardless of your current financial situation. Start thinking like a millionaire today, and millionaire results will inevitably follow. I worked with a young man who had never earned more than $40,000 in a year, yet he made a decision to adopt millionaire consciousness. He began studying how millionaires think, what they believe about money, and how they make decisions. He started making small decisions from millionaire consciousness, investing in his education rather than spending on entertainment, building multiple income streams rather than relying on a single job, solving bigger problems rather than just doing assigned tasks. Within 5 years, he had achieved his first million in net worth, but the real transformation wasn't in his bank account, it was in his consciousness. He had literally become a different person, one who naturally attracted wealth because he thought and acted from wealth consciousness. I want to teach you a special practice that will accelerate your wealth manifestation beyond anything you've experienced. The prosperity prayer. This is not a prayer of begging or pleading. This is a prayer of assumption and recognition. Each morning, before you begin your day, speak these words with deep feeling and absolute conviction. I am divinely prospered. Money flows to me easily, abundantly, and continuously from expected and unexpected sources. I am a magnet for financial opportunities. I create value wherever I go, and the universe rewards this value with abundant compensation. I am grateful for the wealth that is already mine in consciousness and is now manifesting in my physical reality. But the words themselves are not the power. The power is in the feeling you generate as you speak them. You must feel the truth of these statements in your bones. You must embody the consciousness they represent. As you practice this daily, you will notice your entire relationship with money beginning to transform. Opportunities that were invisible before will become obvious. Income streams you never considered will begin to appear. Your capacity to receive and manage wealth will expand naturally. Here is something that wealthy people know but rarely share. Wealth is attracted to those who appreciate it, respect it, and see it as a tool for good. Money flows away from those who fear it, resent it, or see it as evil. Your attitude toward wealthy people reveals your attitude toward wealth itself. If you harbor resentment toward the rich, you are unconsciously repelling wealth from your own life. If you admire and respect successful people, you are aligning yourself with the energy of success. This doesn't mean you should worship money or wealthy people. It means you should recognize wealth as a natural expression of divine abundance and successful people as examples of what's possible when someone aligns with prosperity consciousness. I remember working with a man who constantly complained about greedy rich people while simultaneously wondering why he couldn't attract wealth. His resentment toward the wealthy was creating an unconscious rejection of wealth itself. Once he learned to appreciate success in others and see wealthy people as inspiration rather than enemies, his own financial situation began to improve dramatically. He realized that what you resist persists, and what you appreciate appreciates. Let me share with you one of the most important wealth-building strategies: the conscious creation of multiple income streams. This is not just a financial technique, it's a way of aligning with the abundance of the universe itself. Nature creates through diversity and multiplication. A single tree produces thousands of seeds. A river flows through multiple channels. The sun radiates energy in countless directions. When you create multiple income streams, you are modeling your financial life on the principles of natural abundance. But here's what most people don't understand. Multiple income streams don't just provide financial security. They provide energetic alignment with infinite abundance. Each stream represents a different way you are serving the world and receiving compensation for that service. Start by identifying your natural talents, skills, and interests. Each of these can potentially become an income stream. Your job is not to force these streams into existence, but to assume they already exist and allow them to manifest naturally. I worked with a teacher who felt trapped by her single salary. Together, we identified 7 different ways she could serve others and generate income: tutoring, writing educational materials, conducting workshops, creating online courses, consulting with schools, coaching other teachers, and speaking at conferences. Within 2 years, she had developed 5 of these 7 income streams. Her total income had tripled, but more importantly, she felt alive and excited about her work in ways she hadn't experienced in years. As we near the end of our journey together tonight, I want to leave you with the ultimate truth about money and wealth. True wealth is not about accumulating money. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts and wisely manages abundant resources. When you focus on becoming wealthy in consciousness, developing the thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and habits of prosperity, the money follows naturally. But when you focus only on the money while neglecting consciousness, any wealth you acquire will be temporary and unfulfilling. The question is not, how can I make more money? The question is, how can I become the kind of person who naturally attracts and deserves abundant prosperity? Answer this question through your daily choices, your moment-to-moment assumptions, and your consistent practice of wealth consciousness, and the universe will have no choice but to mirror this inner wealth through your external circumstances. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, I want you to assume the feeling of being naturally, abundantly, joyfully wealthy. Not just having money, but being wealth in human form. Feel the peace, the freedom, the generosity, and the joy that comes from knowing you are divinely prospered. As you fall asleep in this consciousness, you are impressing your subconscious mind with a new reality. You are planting seeds in the fertile soil of infinite possibility. You are aligning yourself with the energy of abundance that flows through all creation. Tomorrow, carry this consciousness with you throughout your day. Make decisions from wealth, not toward it. Think from abundance, not toward it. Be prosperity in action, knowing that the universe has no choice but to mirror your inner state through your outer circumstances. Remember, you are not trying to attract money from outside yourself. You are recognizing and expressing the infinite abundance that has always been your true nature. The energy of money is the energy of divine love seeking expression through material form. You are a beloved child of infinite abundance, worthy of every good thing, deserving of complete prosperity. I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am divinely prospered in all ways, and so it is, and so it shall be. For this is the law of wealth consciousness, as within, so without, as above, so below, as in consciousness, so in manifestation. Rise up, prosperous being. Your abundant future awaits, and it begins with your next assumption about yourself.
Consciousness is the only reality, and where you are conscious of being psychologically determines the circumstances of your life. The ancients knew this great truth, but our modern teachers have yet to discover it. There is only one substance in the world. Our scientists call it energy, while Scripture defines it as consciousness. We are told that the universe was caused by water, but if this is true, then it could not evolve into anything but water. But if the basic substance is energy or consciousness, it can be made to manifest itself as iron, steel, and wood, to name but a few. Man, seeing a variety of forms, thinks of numberless substances, but what is seen is only a change in the arrangement of the same basic substance, consciousness. The state the individual admits into his consciousness is the cause of one man being rich and another poor. The poor man admits to being in the state of poverty by saying, "I am poor," just as the rich man admits wealth by saying, "I am rich." Anything you, an individual, claim yourself to be it good, bad, or indifferent, right or wrong, must be made manifest in your world, for by claiming the state, you have consented to its life. There is only one cause of reality, and that is consciousness. Your consciousness is the center from which your world mirrors and echoes the state you presently occupy. Now, a state can be defined as all that you believe and consent to as being true. So if you want your world to change, you must determine what you want to accept and consent to as true before you can change it. To arrive at a certain definition of self, you must begin by uncritically observing your automatic reaction to an event, for your reaction defines your state, and you can, without getting out of your chair, rebuild your world by changing your state of being. This is done by observing yourself uncritically as you react to life. If you do not like the circumstances of your life, acknowledge its cause. Be willing to admit that the circumstances are only objectifying what you are conscious of. Then change your consciousness and your world will change. If you react to that which is being objectified, you bind yourself to a certain level of awareness, but if you refuse to react, the thread is broken. Stop being conscious of something unlovely, for every unlovely thought causes you to walk in psychological mud. Rather, identify yourself with beauty, with love, the Christ in you, and you will ascend the infinite level of your own being and change the circumstances of your life. Your state of awareness, like a magnet, attracts life. Steel, in its demagnetized state, is a whirling mass of electrons. But when the electrons are faced in one direction, the steel is magnetized. You do not add to the steel to make it magnetic or take anything away to demagnetize it. This same principle is true for you. You can change your world by rearranging your thoughts and having them travel only in one direction, and that is toward the fulfillment of your desire. Watch your reactions to life, for any change in the arrangement of your mind, which can be detected by self-observation, will cause a change in your outer world. It is important to learn to be passive to that which is unlovely and unacceptable to you. In that way, you are awakening the dynamic one within. And when you find your inner being, you will discover that the qualities you condemn in others are really in yourself. Then you will know the secret of forgiveness, for as you forgive yourself, the others are forgiven. All things, not just a few, are made manifest by the light, and everything manifested is light. The moment you consent to a thought, it is made manifest. It could not come into being unless you consented to its expression by being aware of it. The universe moves with motiveless necessity, as it has no motive of its own. Rather, it moves under the necessity of manifesting the arrangements of the minds of men. This teaching is to awaken you to your light, and the awakening begins by self-observation. If you have a secret affection for living in the mud of self-pity and condemnation, your world will mirror those feelings. But if you will rearrange your mind and live in the heavenly feeling of harmony and love, your manifested world will change. If today you would spend 5 minutes in uncritical observation of yourself, you would be surprised to discover how deceitful you are. It is a terrible shock, I know, but every shock of this type will let in the light of awareness, and life is an ever-increasing illumination. As the light comes in, you become more and more conscious of who you really are. There is only one cause for the phenomena of life. Only by observing your own consciousness can you discover the cause of what is happening to you. There is no greater tyrant than the belief in a secondary cause. Let that tyrant go by remembering the one and only substance, the only cause, which is awareness, and immediately change what you are aware of. Only by observing your reactions to life can you find yourself. And remember, as long as you react as you do, the same things must confront you, for all that you admit to is made manifest by your consciousness. And everything you manifest is your consciousness. Stop walking through the world in the mud and living in its basement. Your soul is made up of all that you consent to. Lose your soul on one level, and you will find it on a higher level, defined differently. Always examine yourself uncritically, for the moment you become critical, you automatically justify your reactions and associate yourself with the thing observed. Everything is individual. Collective security and collective salvation are terms approached individually. Learn to stand on your own feet and not on the feet of a group. You must free yourself, and the only way to do that is to awaken the Christ in you who is sound asleep. Think noble thoughts based on noble concepts, and they will pay great dividends, for you will rise in consciousness and transform your world. Give yourself your daily bread by giving yourself the opportunity to remember who you are. Never envy the good fortune of another, simply appropriate your own. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, by changing the ideas planted there, for you cannot change your thinking until you change the ideas from which your thoughts flow. Remember, this is just the beginning. Subscribe to the channel to continue receiving content like this, which will help you grow, evolve, and achieve the life you deserve. Leave your comment below, telling us how you plan to put this into practice, and let's build a community focused on prosperity and transformation together.